Here are 10 horror movies to look out for that are coming out in the first quarter of 2026. I've used the UK release date, so if you're elsewhere, bear in mind they might be a little bit different. But starting off on January 16th, we've got 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Dr. Kelsom, played by Ray Fiennes, who we were introduced to in the previous film, finds himself in a shocking new relationship, with consequences that could change the world as we know it. And Spike's encounter with Jimmy Crystal becomes a nightmare that he can't escape. I know a lot of people weren't a huge fan of the first one, specifically the way it ended, but I had a really great time with it and I'm intrigued to see where they take this world and these characters in the sequel. Next we've got Return to Silent Hill coming out on January 23rd. When James receives a mysterious letter from his lost love Mary, he is drawn to Silent Hill, a once familiar town now consumed by darkness. As he searches for her, James faces monstrous creatures and unravels a terrifying truth that will push him to the edge of his sanity. So it's been 14 years since we last got a Silent Hill movie, and I'm not necessarily hooked by these trailers, but I'm still excited to finally get another entry into this franchise. On January 30th, we're getting Primate. Home from college, Lucy reunites with her family, including their pet chimp Ben, but Ben contracts rabies during a pool party and turns aggressive. Lucy and her friends barricade in the pool, devising ways to survive the now vicious chimp. I am always a sucker for a good creature feature, and I feel like we haven't seen many monkey-based horror movies, so I'm definitely down for this one. Also coming out on that same day, January 30th, is Send Help. Two colleagues become stranded on a deserted island as the only survivors of a plane crash. On the island, they must overcome past grievances and work together to survive, but ultimately, it's a battle of wills and wits to make it out alive. It's directed by Sam Raimi, who it's been a little while now since we've gotten something horror related from him. I've also seen it described as Misery meets Castaway, so that makes me very interested. The Strangers Chapter 3 is coming on February 6th. Tethered by a frightening conclusion, Maya and the strangers are locked on an unavoidable, unforgiving collision course, a showdown that proves that they're far from strangers now. It's hard to feel much excitement for this one since Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 were both pretty underwhelming, but maybe they'll pull together a more intriguing ending for this conclusion to the trilogy, but unfortunately I'm not holding out much hope at this point. Also coming out on February 6th is Cold Storage. When a mutating, highly contagious fungus escapes a sealed facility, two young employees, joined by a grizzled bioterror operative, must survive the wildest night shift ever to save humanity from extinction. This has a great cast attached, Joe Keery of course from Stranger Things, Georgina Campbell from Barbarian, as well as Liam Neeson. Seems to be more comedy focused with lots of horror and sci-fi elements mixed in. Definitely looks like it's going to be a fun time. Releasing on February 13th is the movie Whistle. A group of misfit high school students stumble upon an ancient Aztec death whistle. They find that when they blow the whistle, the terrifying sound it emits will invoke their future deaths to hunt them down. As the body count rises, the friends investigate the origins of the deadly artifact in a desperate effort to stop the horrifying chain of events that they have set in motion. Now this one does sound pretty similar to a lot of horror movies. It definitely is giving some Smile or Truth or Dare vibes, or even The Monkey, which it is made by the same producers, so that makes sense. But on February 20th, we're getting the movie Psycho Killer. Following the brutal murder of her husband, a Kansas Highway Patrol officer sets out on a journey to track down the perpetrator. As the hunt progresses, she comes to realize the man responsible is a sadistic serial killer, and the depth of his mental depravity and his sinister agenda is more twisted than anyone could have ever imagined. This is yet another horror releasing in February that stars Georgina Campbell, so she's really cementing her status as a scream queen, and seeing her in a movie is always a plus for me, and I'm always down for a new slasher movie with a brand new villain. Scream 7 is coming out on February 27th. When a new Ghostface killer emerges in the quiet town where Sidney Prescott has built a new life, her darkest fears are realised as her daughter becomes the next target. Determined to protect her family, Sidney must face the horrors of her past to put an end to the bloodshed once and for all. I feel two ways about this one. Scream has always been one of my favourite franchises, but it's been hard to remain as excited about it after they unfairly fired Melissa Barrera. But Sidney is one of my favourite final girls of all time, so I am happy to see her leading another Scream movie. It's just a shame how we got here and all the negativity that surrounds it now. And coming out on March the 6th, we have The Bride. A lonely Frankenstein travels to 1930 Chicago to ask groundbreaking scientist Dr. Euphronius to create a companion for him. The two arrive a murdered young woman and the bride is born. But what ensues is beyond what either of them ever imagined. This one looks super stylistic and interesting. Of course, this is a new interpretation of The Bride of Frankenstein, and obviously we do get new versions of Frankenstein all the time, but we just got Guillermo del Toro's movie this year, which a lot of people loved, so I have to imagine a lot of audiences are going to be looking forward to this one too. So there you have 10 new horror movies coming out in the first few months of 2026. I want to know which of these you're the most excited to see and why. I massively appreciate any support by liking or subscribing if you want to see more horror content, and thank you for watching.